inventory. Give them a call at 303-298-1155. That's Magic Financing features Marble Home Edition. They're open Monday through Friday till 8 and Saturdays till 7. Check them out. That's Magic Financing. Call them today at 303-298-1155. Tell them that you heard about it here at KUHSdenver.com. Also, visit us at www.magicfinancing.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the council, everybody. We're kind of getting a late start today, but it's just one of those days where things are kind of happening. You got to make those adjustments as they happen on the fly because, hey, life happens. And so sometimes you think you're going to get started and at one time, and then all of a sudden these things that change. And so we're getting started here a little bit later. We thank you all for tuning in. I've got a great guest here beside me, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of wonderful things. But before we get started, just want to do a quick shout out here to KUHS Radio TV Denver, the stream. We are broadcasting live here in Denver, Colorado. Broadcasting not only just here in this beautiful state, but all around the country and all around the world. We're being listened to by so many people from so many different countries, and people are listening to us to hear some great music and some great conversations and personalities and people that we have on the show. And we're just excited to bring you some of the best entertainment and people and information and education and information, healing, doctors, people who are out there making a difference in the world. And we are just here so excited that you share your time with us. You could be doing a lot of different things. You could be sharing your time in a lot of different places. And for you to tune in to us every couple of weeks and tune into the council, we really appreciate it very much. We are broadcasting. We're trying to be one of those lighthouses of the world that give people an opportunity to be able to, share in our diversity, our understandings, our wisdom, and being able to reach out to all of you who are listening and touching your hearts. That's really what we're about, trying to reach out and touch people's hearts. So, the council tries to bring a lot of people on here that are exemplifying a lot of the things that all of us go through and challenges that we have, and overcoming those struggles so that we can, live our dreams. It's so hard to be able to follow our dreams sometimes, to be able to, get into those places and dig deep inside of us so that we are out there putting ourselves, playing in the field, putting ourselves out there so that other people can, see us and get to do the things that we want to do, to live the lives that we want to live. And it's not easy. It's not easy to follow your dreams. And so we have a wonderful guest here, and she has had quite a challenge to get here. Right?
Yes, I have.
It was sometimes you just don't know about traffic and how traffic can keep you and trying to get to where you need to be, right?
That's right. That's absolutely right. But you roll with the punches like you do in life, and you make the best out of every situation. So you do what you gotta do.
So beside me here, everyone, is her name's Hannah Brown. She is a high fashion editorial model from Colorado here. She's been featured in Denver Expose magazine and 303 magazine for Denver Fashion Week. So much more. We are so excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Can you share just a little bit more about your background and what your roots here in Colorado, and just to let people know a little bit more about you?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm a native, which I'm super proud to say, right? Because you don't meet a lot of people that are from Colorado anymore. So
not anymore.
They're from all over. So
we're a rare breed anymore.
I know, that's right. But it's also super awesome to say. So a little bit about myself. Grew up here when it was a cow town. Nobody really knew about it, we were just living our life. It was great. I come from a religious background. My parents are pastors. So shout out to Triumphant Ministries, to James and Jackie Brown. And then I would definitely say, just like growing up out here in Colorado, it has drastically changed.
Tremendously changed.
Oh,
My
wow.
gosh, it's changed. When you're talking about the Cowtown, when it was just a place where people came to, and nobody really knew how special this place was.
Oh, not at
They
all.
didn't know anything. We're like, oh yeah, you guys are. They didn't know there was anything in between New York and Los Angeles.
Right.
And we were like, yeah, that's okay.
It's still okay if you want to go back home so our rent goes back down.
Exactly, please, you can go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like growing up here in Colorado, it's been really different from like going to elementary, high school, and then transitioning into an adult, and then seeing all the changes with the state that's come with that. It's been really interesting. I had a really good childhood growing up. I mean, you endure your challenges, you know, or you are going through certain things, or you get teased because you're going through a different phase of life, or like it's been crazy, but overall, I would definitely say I love where I am. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't take anything back. The lessons that come with some of those life situations, you know, that help mold and sculpt you into the person that you are today, I wouldn't change anything.
That's fantastic. Don't you think that, I mean, for the people who live in Colorado, there was something unique and special about them. They were genuine.
Yes.
They were real. They were honest. They were accepting. They were, you know, just good people, like people you could trust.
Yes. I mean, that's definitely changed quite a bit, though. I think nowadays it just kind of depends on, like, you know, like who you know, what you're into, you know, in regards whether that be industry or regular job like healthcare or anything like that. But for the most part, I would definitely say Colorado does have a level of people being genuine. You know what I mean? There is a level of ease in this state, and that's one thing I can honestly say that I don't take for granted, having gone to different locations, different states, and traveling. It's different everywhere.
Yeah, it is different everywhere.
Different everywhere.
You know, I grew up here. I was born and raised here, and I just loved living in a state where, you know, you could, if somebody gave their word, you could count on that.
You
could count on them helping you out if you were in trouble and you needed some food, or they needed help with the yard, or if somebody was ill or something. People here would do that.
Yes.
And that was what was so unique and special about Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree with that. You know, people shared their resources and they didn't mind helping you, and you could reach out, you know, and you did know that you have like certain people that you could depend on to help you pull you out of that rut that you were in. So I would definitely agree with that. Absolutely.
What are some of your favorite memories of growing up here in Colorado?
Ooh, I would have to say like all of my weekend trips going up to the mountains with my parents.
You like the mountains?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. You can't live in Colorado and not visit the mountains.
Oh, I agree. They are
Like,
so special.
Yeah, I mean, and that's anywhere from like Dillon Lake to, I don't know, just all over the place. But I would have to say Dillon Lake is probably one of my favorite and one of my most like fond memories growing up here.
You know, like you said, growing up here, you have to be in love with the mountains. Like the mountains just have to be able to like move you and get you out there and hiking and fishing and doing those kinds of activities.
Yes.
And when people don't understand that, they don't appreciate that, I think they're missing out on some of the most incredible things about Denver.
That's definitely true, but I would have to say, like, for me, going to the mountains is how I also get, like, that mental reset. When you've had a super long week, or you feel like a lot of people have pulled on you, you know what I mean, for you to, like, come through, or whatever, you know, it's just going up to the mountains and getting that fresh breath of air, you know, and just feeling like you can just release it all, and being able to come back down to the city and be like, okay, I got this, I can conquer it, and I can move forward. So I love the mountains specifically for that reason.
Yeah, I just had a birthday, and so we went up to Independence Pass, my brother and I, and it was just glorious. I mean, it was magnificent up there. And then there was this place called the Punch Bowl, the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Yes.
Have you been there?
Yes.
Isn't that awesome?
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It has a weird name, but it is a beautiful place.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's gorgeous, and it has a weird name, but it's not. It's just this little, you know, pool that's about 10 to 12 feet deep, and people jump off it. We jumped off it, my brother and I. Cold. Oh my gosh.
Yes, it is. It's a shock to your system for sure when you dive in. But as soon as you adjust, you're like, oh my gosh, and then you just can't stop.
Yes.
Like, it's a beautiful place. Colorado has so many hidden gems.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, you have Yellowstone, and then there's this one canyon too that's like has like all of these different colors. It's kind of like being in the Grand Canyon, but it's so different. And if I could remember the name of it, I'll tell you. I promise, I'll tell you.
But it's like those things, and it clears you up. You know, just your mind. There's a meditative quality to it when you're there, and you feel like you can do anything.
Yes.
You know, and I think people need to have that when you're going after your dreams. And we're going to get into your modeling and everything, but I think it's really important for people to know how to do self-care. You know, because there's going to be so many temptations, there's going to be so many different distractions out there that prevent you from following your dream and living your dream out. So you've got to know those things that'll help to lift you up and keep you going on that path, right?
Yes, I absolutely agree. I agree.
So did you always want to be a model when you were a child? Was that something that you...
No. So growing up, you want to be so many different things, right? You want to be an astronaut, you want to travel the world, you want to do everything. I was one of those kids.
Yeah.
But I would say growing up, my mom had a really big impact on my life when it came to like fashion. So I grew up watching a lot of black and white movies with my mom. And the first time I went to college, I went to the Art Institute of Colorado, and I went for fashion design. And so that's kind of how I ended up in the industry. I went for fashion design, but I personally enjoyed modeling a lot more because you get the resources, you get a lot more exposure, you also get a lot more of the networks in regards to anything else that you want to do, right? So that was kind of like how I started off in that industry, was going to school for that. But it wasn't something, like modeling specifically wasn't something that I was after.
Wow. So it kind of just happened for you, basically.
It did. And like anything else, I was like, okay, God, sure, I'll do it. Like, I'm not going to say no. Like, you know, like, yes, I'm going to go for it. Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's, you know, like I had when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor. I loved being on the stage and performing and singing and doing all that stuff. And then as I got older, you know, I went into the military, I did different things. And so those dreams kind of went into, you know, in the background.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't, but I always kind of still, and I still love to do the theater and stuff. So it's always interesting to ask people if they had these early dreams and that they just didn't act on it until, you know, something in life called them to it.
Right.
And for you, that seems like what happened is that life actually brought you to this to this profession.
It did. It definitely did. I had no plans for it. You know, but like when you plan for something and it doesn't end up going your way because there's either something better for you, you know. I mean, who am I to fight against it? And whatever happens, happens. You know, but I think that that's wonderful. And even though you had plans to do something else, you ended up here, and that's beautiful as well.
So when you entered the industry, what was it like? I mean, when people asked you to go on, you know, wow, you know, you're this beautiful woman and you're... you've got the skill sets, you've got the look to be able to do this. What was it like? What was it? Just share with us.
It was scary at first because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You know what I mean? Just like when you start a business, you have no idea what you're doing. You know, you just know that you're going for it because you have nothing else. So I would definitely say it was an interesting start. I went to a club one night, and I think at the time it was Opal, like this Jamaican club, and this guy was like, oh my gosh, I want to take a picture of you, and I was like, but why, you know? So he was like, just let me take a picture and I'll show you, and I was like, okay. So that was kind of like how I ended up in the modeling industry. It was very nerve-wracking at first because you don't know which way things are going to go, you know, and you can be very easily deterred, you know, in the industry because there's so many different opportunities, and you can also easily get caught up in so much. So I would definitely say, like, being in the industry, you have to know what you want, where you're going, and stick to your vision. You know, and be cautious of the work that you choose to involve yourself in, and be cautious of the networks as well, because not every network is a good network for you. So I would definitely say I learned some lessons there.
I think that's a really important thing because, you know, even in the acting world, you have certain networks that are really good, they're beneficial, they're going to help you to develop your craft,
Right.
And to really learn how to be able to get into your character, to be able to understand how to, diagnose a character and being able to get into the deeper motivations to construct the soul.
Yes.
But there are also others that want to exploit. They want to exploit your talent. They want to exploit your looks. They want to exploit your intelligence, your beauty, all these different things. So I think that's really critical to understand.
Yes.
Is to be able to differentiate between someone who wants to help you with your career and someone who wants to exploit you.
Yeah, and see the difference between that, I would definitely say ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Ask as many questions as you can. Who's all involved? Who's all going? Where is it located?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? What is your benefit out of this? What is the other person trying to benefit? You know what I mean? Because everybody doesn't have good intentions for you. You know? With that exploit statement, that would be that intention. Like, what is your intention for wanting to work with me? Like what? You know?
Is it hard to be able to talk to people about different things because you're constantly in front of a camera, constantly people are looking at you, constantly? Is it hard to have, like a deep conversation with somebody?
It can be challenging because I think people, when they find out that you're a model or you do certain things, they kind of see, how it can benefit them. And so to like have an in-depth conversation, you have to really be cautious of what you choose to tell that person. Because they'll either take it and run with it, or they'll use it against you, or they'll want you to like jump on board with them, when it's not really beneficial for me, it's more beneficial for them. So even though that person may be really cool, you guys may be establishing rapport or building some type of relationship, you always have to be cautious of what you're telling people. You can never be completely transparent about yourself.
Wow. Well, hopefully you have, and I think that's really insightful, because I think it's one of the things that I think is so difficult with being a model, is that sense of how do I maintain my sense of self and my sense of integrity with myself, and being able to have an honest relationship with myself and with a close unit of people around me, because there's so many people that are trying to get something from me. How are you able to maintain that with so many people trying to pull you in different directions?
I think the best way to handle that is to first and foremost know where your loyalty lies with people. Because when you know where your loyalty lies with people, you can pick and choose, like who you can trust for certain situations, and who's really going to be there as a support for you, and vice versa. I would definitely say the other thing too is just also maintaining humility. Because when you're a humble person, there's so much, like you get a lot more opportunities, you know what I mean? And you also are really selective in regards to who you choose to work with and who you don't. But when you're humble, like you're your own solid foundation, for who you want around you and who you don't. So I would definitely say, like, for me, I choose to be humble through everything. I pray about it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I pray like, God, please help me to remain humble, because it's just really important, when you're humble, you have that loyalty, and with that loyalty comes your support system as well. So it's really important to maintain that way.
I think that's beautiful. And remember, with humbleness and humility, it's a sense of recognition that, everything is going to, according to a bigger plan. And how I fit into the plan, and being able to, recognize that no matter what's going on the circumstances outside of me, if you're coming from a religious background and a faith background, God loves me for who I am exactly as I am. I don't have to be any different.
That's right. That's right. You don't have to change for anybody.
That's right. You shouldn't have to change for anybody.
Right.
If anybody makes you change for them, don't do it. Then stay away. So tell us about your first modeling event. Could you describe what that was like? Because I'm sure you must have had a lot of feelings that were coming up while you were just about ready to go on stage.
Oh my God, yes. So I actually remember, and it's coming back up actually in November, so it's AIDS Awareness Month that, it took place. It is the Red Ball. Red Ball was the first event that I did. And it was interesting because, like, you don't really know a whole lot. That's the thing with, like, modeling. Like, you kind of are, like, self-training. You're teaching yourself all these things between photo shoots and fashion shows and events. You know what I mean? I did didn't really know much. I didn't know like how I was supposed to walk, where I was supposed to pose, what were my stopping points, where's my angles, where is my lighting. I knew nothing, you know. So I was a bundle of nerves because, you know, like you're just walking and you're just like, I just don't want to fall.
Right. So
yes. So you're like
worried about falling. Yeah.
Yes, I was paranoid.
Yeah.
I'm like in these platforms with this skinny tiny heel, and I'm like, I just don't want to trip and like mess up their garment and then embarrass myself and the designer. So I was like, God, please just be with me. So yeah, that was my very first fashion show was Red Ball.
Red Ball.
Yeah.
And what is it? I mean, because guys, we don't walk in those heels and all that stuff.
Right.
Is it hard to walk in those heels? I mean, does it hurt your ankles?
If you have weak ankles, don't do it, okay? But yes, because sometimes like you don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so your heel could be anywhere from like 1.5 inches to like 3 inches depending on how long the garment is. Like you just don't know.
Yeah.
So we teach ourselves like certain tricks on like how to walk with certain garments, you know, based on how high the heel is. But everybody has the same paranoia when they hit that runway. The only mission is to get a good photo and don't fall in the process. That's it.
That's it. What is it? Get a good
get a good photo.
Get a good photo.
And don't fall.
And don't fall. That's it. Guys,
That's
get a good photo and don't fall.
Yep.
Now, does that happen every time? Now, let's say you're doing a show.
Yes.
Is it? Are you going to change like 10 or 12 different outfits? Are you going to have to like? I mean, how does that work in the back?
Yeah.
You know, is it
it's nuts.
crazy? Is it pandemonium
crazy in the
back?
back? Yeah. So say that for example, you have like Denver Fashion Week, or you're doing Red Ball, or whatever show you're doing, right? So there's two sets. Either it's up to you and the designer to change your outfit, or there's like a team of people. Once you walk behind the curtain and you're coming down these stairs, they just start changing you. You know, so I would definitely say models are not shy when you have to like. You're kind of like partially naked for your next set because they don't have time to be shy.
Right.
We just have to do what we gotta do. Like, oh, pass me my bra. Okay, got it. You know, right. And it's like, here's your jewelry. Here's this. Make sure your shoes are strapped on tight. You know what I mean? It's chaotic in the back. You know, because I think you really only have like maybe 2 minutes before your next set. You know what I mean? Depending on the designer before you and how many models they have, but it's usually about like 2 to 5 minutes. That's it.
Wow. And so you got to go from one outfit to the next outfit, get all ready. Yeah. Even change your hair, right? You have to change your hairstyle or something?
Hair, they have to go over a certain makeup look, they'll change your nail polish, lipstick, all of it. It happens.
Wow, it's like it's a machine, not a machine, but it's a production going on, right?
Yes, and then you still have to interact with people, you're smiling, you're still backstage taking photos with people, so yes, it's never a dull moment. From the time you show up to you hit the stage, through hair and makeup, till the end, never a dull moment. Never.
So how has modeling impacted your life?
You know what? How do I put this? So, modeling actually really helps you develop a lot of self-confidence. A lot of people would not like guess that, but because you really are depending on your looks, you know, to pull through a strong photo, your looks to do really well on the runway, because you can't model with a mirror. you know? No, you can't.
Yes, you can't. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so, you know, like it develops your conversation with people, how you carry yourself, etiquette, poise, all of that. So I would definitely say, for me, my modeling experience has definitely helped me to be a lot less shy.
Yeah.
Because I used to be super shy.
I was just going to ask you, were you shy before?
Oh my God.
You've noticed a difference since you started?
Absolutely. Modeling makes you speak up, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a really aggressive game. You know what I mean? Like you have to stand your ground, you speak up, you tell people what you're about, what you're not about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you overcome being shy and hesitant rather quickly. Rather quickly. So I definitely say modeling has definitely been a way for me to boost my confidence.
That's fantastic. I wouldn't have guessed that. But you know what? Because you're always putting yourself out there like that, and it's such a vulnerable thing to do.
Yes.
that the more you do it, I mean, it's like even when I first started the show a few years back, you know, I was nervous all the time. I had to have my, you know, everything written down and ready because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. You know, not to say I know what I'm doing now, but the more you do things, the more confidence you get because you can feel more comfortable and talking with people and looking at cameras and engaging people.
Exactly.
So I would imagine that's kind of the same thing with modeling.
Yes.
Have you ever, is there competition between models?
There is competition between models, but it's friendly competition to a degree.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
it's not like you're going to have somebody come in and try to knock you, you know, before you go out on the stage.
I mean, you would be surprised. Like, I'm pretty sure it's happened before.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not for those games. But
Me neither. I want everybody to win. I want everybody to succeed.
And you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is always kind of a competition because you are to be at your best at all times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then people challenge that, you know, in you. To be like, okay, well, if you're really good at walking, you know, and they see somebody else come in who also has a really powerful walk, you know what I mean? It's going to challenge you to do better. So I would definitely say that modeling definitely, it challenged you with other people and then also like in own areas of your life. Wherever you see a weakness, you know, it's a trigger for some people.
Oh, God.
It's definitely a trigger for some people.
You know, it's, there was a story that I heard, and it just came up while we were talking, where there was an older model. She'd been doing this for a number of years, and there was a younger model who was just getting started, who was still trying to build up her confidence and still was looking for some help. And so she was asking this older model who'd been doing this for a number of years, how do I look? Am I okay? And all this. And in her mind, she's like, wow, this woman, this girl's really beautiful. And I can't give her any cues or clues on how to do it. And so instead of giving her a compliment, it says, yeah, you look great and all that stuff. She says, yeah, you look okay. And so it was like, she knew that she was feeling that, and she regretted that. She regretted the fact that I felt that sense of that pang of competition and jealousy.
Yep.
And that I wouldn't give her the advice that she needed. All she wanted was, because you're nervous, you're scared, you're exposing yourself to a whole lot of people, you're vulnerable, and having that sense of camaraderie, even amidst the competition, having a sense of camaraderie with your fellow models is kind of important, don't you think?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're still competition for each other. You know what I mean? So just because you meet all types of people doesn't mean that everybody that you meet is your friend. And that's where you have to draw the line. You know what I mean? You keep it professional and you keep it pushing. That's one of the main things that I've always kept before myself is because you don't want to get tied up in that. You know, it's industry work. You don't really have friends. And that's just me being transparent about the industry as a whole, right? Not just in modeling or in music or anything like that. In the industry as a whole, you are not going to have friends like that because you're competition for everyone. You know, this is your craft and it's your baby and you're doing the best that you can because nobody's going to promote you the way you promote you. You know, nobody's going to do photo shoots or runway walks the way that you do it, you know. And sometimes you can be your own competition, you know, and that's just that as well. But being transparent about the industry, you are not going to have friends like that because you're competition to everyone.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So interesting. So you didn't know these things about modeling, isn't it? That's fancy. What are some of your favorite moments?
Ooh, favorite moments. I have quite a few of those. Okay, let's narrow it down. So favorite moments from like runway shows, photo shoots.
Let's do one from a runway show.
Okay.
And then let's do one from a photo shoot.
Okay. I would say one of my favorite fashion shows that I did would have to be Denver Fashion Week, where I walked for a designer named Jessie Matthews, I think it is, or Maids. She's a metal designer. So I had on like this super heavy metal piece and it had like spikes coming up by my head. And I was like, oh my gosh, God, I really could not fall because if I fall, I'm going to die. Okay? So I was like, I can't take
one of these spikes or something.
Yes, it was nuts. But it was a beautiful set. It was just gorgeous. Her work was amazing, right? Every model that walked out, they all had on a metal piece, and it was just stunning. It was beautiful, and we ended up making the cover of Denver Fashion Week for like their website and everything like that. So that was one of my favorite moments.
That sounds really cool.
You don't get to model metal like that, and you're like, oh my god, this is super dope. I could die today, but I look so good. Like, yeah, it was interesting. And then I would definitely say one of my favorite photo shoots. That's a really hard one because I work with a lot of different photographers, and they all bring a different style. So I would probably have to go with this most recent one that I did, where I made the cover of a magazine in Paris. So that one was really different for a cosmetics line. That one was a really good photo shoot.
Oh, fantastic.
It was fun. It was so much fun. And the people are so cool. So when it comes to like photo shoots, you know, and you have a specific look that you're looking for, you have to know like different photographers with different style work, you know. And then for an event, I remember when Native, do you know Native Hotel downtown? It's like a hotel part nightclub, and there's like a restaurant in the back.
No, I don't know any place. What's Native Hotel downtown?
Yes.
Is it a good place?
It's a cool place.
Yeah.
It's really neat. So there's where like a lot of different celebrities come through there and hang out. Like,
okay.
But they're mostly like sports people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this one, they were doing like a grand opening, and I was there with the mayor, another basketball player. I'm not even gonna say his name because I might get it wrong. But yeah, it was. I don't want to butcher it, you know. Right, but it was really cool. Just like being in the same room as like the mayor and like the governor and like some of these other really important people. You know, and they're inquiring about you. Can I take a photo with you? Yes, you can. You can totally take a picture
with me. You can take a picture with me.
Yeah, come on, don't be shy.
That's right.
It's great.
So, you know, what has been one of your greatest triumphs since you started your career? I mean, how long has your career been going on?
I started modeling in 2016.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And now you're on the cover of Paris magazines.
Yes.
That's so fantastic.
Thank you. I would say some of my greatest triumphs in modeling or leading up to.
Well, we're going to get into that because that part of your life where a lot of people don't know. You know, everybody sees the surface stuff. You know, the success, the modeling accomplishments and being on the magazines and the runway stuff and listening to you wearing metal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they also don't understand the personal triumphs that you've had to overcome as well.
Right. I have not had a chance to talk about that in depth, so that will definitely be interesting to discuss. But some of my triumphs in modeling, I would definitely say, is always overcoming that nervousness before you hit the runway.
Yeah.
You know, and
does that happen every time?
Every time.
Yeah. Without
fail. Every single time, because you don't always get a chance to rehearse on the runway. You know what I mean? So like that one shot is like the only shot that you're going to get, and you have to make the best of that, or like it can go really, really well, really fast, or it can suck just as fast.
It could be like a real bummer.
Exactly.
So what is something that people don't understand about models that you feel would help them to understand some of the challenges that you face?
People say that models are mean.
Yes, they do. They think they're mean, and they think they're stuck up. They think that they're full of themselves, right? And that they have this kind of like barrier. I mean, it's that doesn't allow you to have a real conversation with them, right?
Right. I would definitely say, are we mean? It's kind of true. Okay. It's a little true.
Actually, it's true.
It's a little true. I'm not going to lie about that. But we're kind of mean because we have to protect ourselves. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes on in that industry. You know what I mean? From like being fantasized to, you know, like a lot of different things that you have to contend with. And most of the time we're going on these fashion shows and these photo shoots by ourselves. You know what I mean? So for us to kind of develop that mean exterior is a way to defend ourselves.
Wow, that's
You know what I
important,
mean?
yeah.
And including like with the different personalities that you have to contend with as well. You know, from like other people that have like really big egos and things like that. So it's just a way for us to defend ourselves until we get comfortable with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You
That
know?
makes sense. No, because it's, when you're having so much attention that is drawn towards you, whether it's male energy, most of it's going to be a male energy for you. For men, it may be a mix of both female and male energy. Sometimes you might have female energy too, but it can be very intrusive.
It
And
can.
if you don't have that guard up,
Right.
it can be overwhelming in your system. It can drain you. It can affect you. It can affect your performance. It can
Yes.
Your mental and emotional well-being. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of us models like before a show or anything like that, we put in headphones and we keep to ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you have to protect your energy, you have to protect your reputation, you're protecting a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and so we just choose not to get caught up with everybody. We just kind of we show up, we do what we have to do. We'll converse with you, absolutely, you know, but not everybody in the industry is a gossip. You know, so
Not
some of us,
just a few people.
yeah,
That's it.
you know, but some of us, like myself, I totally choose to just kind of keep to myself.
Yeah. Are you because of your work, and then I want to get into what some of the obstacles that you've overcome?
Yeah.
Have you become a really good judge of people as a consequence of working in the modeling industry?
I want to say yes and no.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes when you think you know a person, they can switch up on you.
Oh, okay.
You know, so there's like no like true answer to
Yeah.
to that. You know what I mean? But I would definitely say like in the industry, you learn to listen.
Yeah.
Right? You're slow to speak and quick to hear.
Yeah.
That's something that you just kind of develop because you have to pay attention to what's going on around you in the industry, you know, and as well as the company that you keep, you know. So I would definitely say you learn to listen more than anything.
You know what, and that's an important thing. Listening to what people are saying and watching what they do.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people, even in the acting world, in the film world, in the theater world.
Right.
Sometimes, people have ulterior motives in what they're doing and what they're saying, and they're going to promise you the world, and they're going to give you everything, and they have these other motives behind.
Exactly.
And so you always have to be cognizant and aware, and to have those, and to be able to clue into are people's words matching, or the people's actions, matching their words.
Yes, I can definitely say one thing about myself. I'm not big on words.
Yeah.
You can't buy me with words. That's so nice, you know, it's very nice of you, but I'm a person of action. I want your action.
Yes, it's so important.
It is.
Whatever's in somebody's heart, it'll show up in their actions.
That's right.
So many people don't recognize us. So they see your success, they see all the accomplishments that you've made and had, but they don't know some of the things that you had to personally overcome.
Right.
And one of those things is you had scoliosis.
I did have scoliosis, yes.
Wow. What was that experience like when you were being diagnosed with scoliosis, and how did you overcome it?
It was tough. It was really, really tough. I actually ended up having to, I remember having to leave school for a year because I ended up having a back surgery to have my spine corrected, and it took 48 pieces
Oh my goodness.
of titanium steel, and I had to learn how to walk all over again with those metal pieces in my back. Because like with scoliosis, there's the curvature of the spine, right? And so depending on like how bad your curve is, it can begin to like crush your organs, right? And my curve had kind of started to get to that point where I had no choice but to either become a cripple or to have the surgery and have my spine corrected and just kind of like start life all over, you know? And that was a really challenging time in my life because I wanted to just be a regular 16-year-old girl.
Wow.
I did. I wanted to just be a regular 16-year-old girl, have, you know, their friends over, go out and do things, you know, like, and you're in high school, like, come on, you know,
Yeah.
like, really, God, like, what is happening right now? But it's a very humbling experience, you know, because when people say that there's always someone off worse, you know, like in a worse position than yourself, I didn't see that at the time. You know, like here I am with 48 pieces. I've got screws that were screwed into like my ribs from the back, and I've got 2 titanium rods on each side of my spine, and then there's like hooks going down the middle. So it's been beautiful, nightmare,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
all at the same time. But that's why, like, I'm a very grateful person, because my situation it could have been a lot worse.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
You know, so modeling for me, like, once I had the second surgery when I was 18, I had them removed, and I had to learn how to walk without them again because it was so heavy. You know what I mean? It probably added like maybe like 7 to 10 pounds of weight.
The titanium did?
With just the metal, you know. So when I had them removed when I was 18, that was when I was like, you know what? I've overcome that. I'm not gonna let anything stop me at this point. You know, so modeling for me became my out. That was how, through that situation, I was able to build that self-confidence. I was able to, you know, believe in myself a lot more that I can do this.
Yeah.
Like that scripture, like you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it for me. So with modeling definitely became my out for that.
You know, I think it's when you hear when people go through challenges like a health challenge like that, a health crisis, where your whole sense of well-being and your sense of your future and everything that's, you know, you're a young 16-year-old girl and this is happening, and you just, like you said, you just want to be a kid. You want to be a young, beautiful girl who's having fun in high school, and now you got to deal with all of this stuff.
Yes.
And when they removed the titanium, how long did it take you to learn how to walk again?
I would probably say maybe like 3 to 6 months, you
Wow.
know, but it took me a year to like be able to walk in heels, because like with that surgery, your back is completely numb for like a year to 2 years. So for like even when I was 18, I didn't get feeling in my back again until I was about 20.
Yeah.
21 maybe, because your back has to readjust, you know, like all those
all
muscles
the
and
nerves
everything.
and the muscles and everything
They have to readjust to that titanium not being there anymore. You know, so it's been
Did you
been
feel
hell of a
lighter
ride.
too when you had the titanium? Did you notice the difference? And then
You do feel lighter, but because of like with scoliosis, to help correct that curve, they take out like your shock disc. So you know how like when you walk, there's like a little bounce to you. You know, they take that disc out, so your walk becomes very just super hard. You know, and so for me to have to learn how to walk with that all over again, it definitely had its challenges. You know, you're a lot more tired. You know, because you're tired of like holding yourself up, and then your muscles are having to readjust, and then they have to be strengthened all over again. So you're weak.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been interesting.
Oh my God.
It was interesting. Yes.
And that's not all that you've had to overcome.
Right.
You've also had to overcome homelessness.
That's right. I was homeless.
You've had to overcome being without a place to call your own or a home. My goodness, what was that like?
Oh man, let's see. In the midst of overcoming a back surgery and enduring homelessness, my family was my source of strength outside of God. You know, to be honest about that, because it could have just taken a mental toll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You feel like, okay, well, I'm trying to overcome this, you know, like my health, you know, then you have all these other things. It just mentally wore you down.
So this happened right while you were going through the
my
surgery,
healing process.
the healing of
right.
From the surgery.
Yep. Yep. So through all of that, you know, and then you have to get back in school because you're pushing to graduate. You know, so it was just like everything was crashing down on you all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really just felt like, you know what, God, you and my family are going to have to be the only strength that I have. And I literally would just pray just to maintain sanity,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it's also was like the dead of winter. So everything, like, it just, I felt like in those moments, it just couldn't get any worse.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I would say, really, like, when I tell you that my family has endured so much, I'm so grateful for them.
Wow.
Just so grateful for them, you know? And I'm really grateful, you know, that I still have my sanity and that my health has gotten better and I did graduate. And so,
yes,
that's
yes,
it.
that's
Like, God,
so,
I just was like,
yes.
thank you, because it couldn't have been anybody else but you.
And you know, God gets us through a lot of things, and it's in our moments of crisis. You know, there was my moments of crisis when I hit rock bottom and the things that happened to me. You know, I wasn't a praying man at the time, and boy, I got on my hands and knees, and I don't think I would have got through those times if I hadn't been able to reach out, you know, and pray and say, I need your help right now because I know I'm in trouble.
And that's the thing, is that sometimes we don't really realize, like, how low you really are in some of those points in your life. You know what I mean? Because God is just carrying you through it. You really don't know. Like, when you look back, I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
How did I overcome that?
How did you overcome homelessness? And corollary question to it is, you know, what lessons did you learn?
I would definitely say, like, how I overcame it was just not allowing myself to feel defeated on a daily basis.
That's so huge. Yeah. Because so many people, when they're homeless, I worked in Los Angeles. I was working with people who are living on Skid Row down there, and it's a really tough place.
Yeah.
And they have lost all hope. They've lost all, you know, a lot of them are despairing. And so I think that's such an important thing, is that you didn't give up. You weren't defeated by it.
No. And I would also say too, like, in those moments where you easily could feel defeated, I started reaching out and getting to know some of the other people that were in the same situation as myself.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in a situation like that, you easily can feel defeated every day.
Yeah.
You know, to the point that you want out. I'm suicidal, I just want out. You know? I would definitely say, like, when you start to develop relationships with other people, and you kind of, like, become each other's strength. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, I would have to say the lesson that I learned is to have compassion for other people. Not everybody is homeless because they're not working. You can have a full-time job or 2 and 3 jobs and still end up homeless.
Yep.
Everybody isn't on drugs, you know, who's homeless, or, you know what I mean? It's just having that compassion toward other people. You know, it really gives you a different outlook on life. And not to be judgmental. You know, embrace somebody who's having it just as hard as you, if not harder. Because most of the time, they just want to have a conversation with somebody. They just want to be heard and acknowledged, like, I'm just having a really tough day. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you've really brought up a lot of good points with that. And very often our judgments can impede us from being able to acknowledge their humanity.
Yes.
They're a human being that has feelings, that has emotions, that, you know, they have dreams too, and they have hopes, and
That's right.
And sometimes those are detoured by circumstances. And like you said, not everybody who's homeless is a drug addict. Not everybody who's homeless is an alcoholic. Not everybody who's homeless is a derelict. There are a lot of people that have found themselves in that situation that are good, wholesome people. That is just they just are on the streets. Fell on hard times.
Exactly.
And so having that compassion is really critical.
Yes.
I can't believe we're almost we've got this has been a fast show. We got in here, we had a fast show, we're almost done. I just love your story and how you've been able to overcome so many different things. The people that probably you're learning for the first time right now, the things that you've had to overcome.
Yeah.
Are you living your dream?
I would definitely say I have more than one dream, and I have lived this one. I can definitely put it that way. I don't take anything back. I love fashion. I love the rush of it all. I love the thrill, meeting people, how busy it is, how much you have to stay on your toes for everything. I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. This is a dream that I have lived, and it has been a thorough joy for me.
So great. It's
Thank
so great. What advice, I mean, would you give a young person, young woman, young man that's thinking about joining the industry? Do you have any advice for them that
Ooh.
you could give? I'm sure we could spend a whole show just on that.
Yes, for sure. I would definitely say the best advice that I can give is be observant, and stay humble. Because right when you feel like you're at your peak and I got this, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, that emotion can get the best of you.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
lose
yeah.
sight of yourself. So I would definitely say be observant. Always be observant. Know your situation. Know who you're around. Know who you're involved in. And stay humble.
Yeah.
Humility is key in everything you do.
I think so too. And it's such a beautiful, when you see someone who has a sense of humility about them, that they recognize that, these are gifts that have been given by a higher power, and just being able to acknowledge the goodness all around me, that this just happens to be the blessings that was given to me, and you just have an appreciation for life so much more.
I have to.
Yeah.
I have to, because life easily could have been stripped from me. So
Yeah.
I definitely do. I definitely do.
Who has been some of your biggest supporters?
Oh my God, my family. And I have to give my family a shout out, and I also have to say Dorn Adams. If you are watching this, thank you, Dorn Adams, for always, always being there outside of my family. They have all been just fantastic people. And my boyfriend too. If you're watching this, I love you and thank you for always being there as well.
That's fantastic. Isn't it wonderful to have, I think, a partner who supports your work?
Yes.
That it doesn't feel in competition. I think that's so important. And to have somebody who can allow you to be you.
Yes.
Without needing to change you, and can stand by your side. And I think both men and women need that.
I would definitely say so. The industry is tough.
Yeah, when you got a tough industry like this, you've got to have
Yes.
that, because you need someone, or in your family, like an anchor to help you. That's to withstand some of these storms.
You do. You are always going to need somebody that's going to be there through thick and thin. You know what I mean? Not just in life situations, but specifically in regards to the industry, because it's lonely. You can easily feel by yourself no matter how many people you know, because you can't trust everybody. It's really important to have that person by your side at all times.
What do you love about your work? Is there anything that you love, even it's like, oh, I can't wait to do this shoot? Is it just?
It's just the rush and the
rush
thrill of it. From you being busy, having to get dolled up, you having to stay, within your etiquette, and being poised. It's just the thrill and the rush of it all. That is my favorite thing about modeling. Is you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You show up to a photo shoot and you have the expectations of how it's gonna go, and then something completely changes and you don't have an option but to go with it. So it's just the rush and the thrill of it. I love it.
That's
I wouldn't change
great.
it.
That's so great. Do you have any events that are coming up right now? Do you have anything that's people can watch or attend or support your work?
So I would definitely say Red Ball is coming back around. You have Denver Fashion Week that's also coming back around, and Latin Fashion Week. So
Latin Fashion Week too.
yes,
Awesome.
I would definitely say keep an eye out for those events that are coming up. It's going to be a fantastic time.
Awesome. Well, you're just delightful to have you on this show. Really,
Thanks so much.
So much a rich soul and personality to go along with the beauty that you have, and for the modeling that you do. You're a light for a lot of people, and I think that's just really terrific. And thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I've got one more question for you before we close out. I just want to do a quick shout out to everybody that's listening out there on here on KUHS Radio TV Denver. Thank you for watching the stream. We're broadcasting here in the beautiful city of Denver, Colorado. And I just want to thank Henry and everybody in the back out there who are making this magic happen. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background that you don't know is happening. They make this all seamless and go easy, and so that her and I can sit and talk and have all these incredible conversations. And so thank you, Henry, for all that you do for all of us here at KUHS. We're being listened to by so many of you. Without you, there would be no council. So thank you for wherever you're tuning in from, whatever part of the globe. Thank you for trusting me here to give you the best shows that we can, and that's our purpose, is to give you those kind of shows that you remember. Okay, Hannah, such a delight. Could you give, I always ask my guests before we close out the show, if you could give one bit of advice, one bit of wisdom from your life experience, what would it be?
Never feel defeated. Never feel defeated. You always have a chance to overcome your situation and learn from your mistakes.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. You know, and that's probably some of the best advice that's come. Never feel defeated. Don't let life get you down. Never give up.
Yeah, and because your situation never lasts long. It feels long when you're in it, but it never lasts long.
That's true. It does feel longer than it. You know, when you're going through something, it feels like it will never end.
Right.
And then when you get through it and you get past it and you look back, you're like, wow.
Yes.
Did I go through that? Did I really go through that?
Exactly. Yeah. Give yourself a chance to grow, to learn. You know what I mean? Don't feel defeated. Every day you wake up is a new day to do better than the day before.
Amen to that. Hannah, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This has been a delight. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into the council today. The council is adjourned. May you all be well. May you all be free of pain and suffering. May you all be whole. God bless everyone. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care.